So I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and okay, the PG-13 rating is just absurd at this point. They should have just made this R because they did some things in here that I would have considered okay. I did not see that coming. We start off the story with the reveal of Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord's father, being played by Kurt Russell, known as Ego, and he it takes place in the 80s first, but we see him and his eventual wife and lover, or something like, I don't know if they actually got married, but yeah, we see them. We see a seed planted, and I was like, okay, that's gonna contribute way later. So we move on to 2014. In the year 2014, it's still 2014 in this timeline apparently, or stuck, or in between, or this takes place after Guardians of the Galaxy 1, but Civil War is in 2016. I don't know, it's confusing. Peter Quill, Gamora, Drax, Rocket Raccoon, and Baby Groot are renowned as the Guardians of the Galaxy, and okay, the opening scene was just hilarious because the five of the Guardians are out kicking ass, and Baby Groot's just dancing around killing rodents. And then the leader of the Sovereign race, after they defeat the monster that will contribute nothing to the plot, um, has the Guardians protect valuable batteries from an interdimensional monster in exchange for Gamora's sister, Nebula, who was caught attempting to steal the batteries. After Rocket steals some for himself, the Sovereign attacks the Guardian ships, who have a fleet of drones. The drones are destroyed by a mysterious figure, but the Guardians are forced to crash land on a nearby planet, which was hilarious. The figure reveals himself as Star-Lord's father, Ego, who invites Quill, accompanied by Gamora and Drax, to his home planet, while Rocket Raccoon and Groot remain behind to repair the ship and guard Nebula. So afterwards, okay, this movie, like, I think you can already guess where this movie's going, and also there is virtually no tension for me in this. Like, I like the movie, but when you know for a fact that months before and it's already been revealed, oh yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're in Avengers Infinity War, so what's the point of feeling tension for any of these characters? Like, you know who's gonna live, who's gonna die. It's kind of simple like that. Like, they really should. They really should. Yeah, they really should have just kept everything secret and then show, like, maybe we can lose these characters, but now we're just thinking like, okay, they either die in Infinity War or they die in the untitled sequel of Avengers Infinity War. So yeah, I'm curious as to know what's gonna happen on that. Um, there were some dark moments in this movie. Like, it was very humorous, but there were some dark moments. Like, people are jetting out of space to death, and let's see, Groot most likely cut a guy's finger off, which was hilarious. Still, also one of the creatures of Yandu, um, also Sylvester Stallone was in this movie. Yeah, and one of the creatures' name is Taserface, and I'm like, my God, oh God, the comedic gold mine that could happen from that, and they exploit it. And there was some profanity, mostly from Rocket Raccoon, and I was like, this is for PG-13 audience, right? Oh boy, like, this keeps saying it's PG-13, yet really I look at it and I'm thinking, no, no, it isn't. Like, a guy's finger's is severed. Uh, we see an eye. We see a mechanical eyeball. We see people get jettisoned into space and die through lack of oxygen and zero temperatures. So, yeah. And Groot was just adorable in this. Like, he was just so adorable. And even the enemy kept saying, "We can't kill him. He's too adorable." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, this is hilarious." Like, there was a lot of hilarious moments, and we even see Stan Lee again, this time in space, talking to Watchers during a freak out, wavy over 700 God knows how many times they jumped into hyperspace, and I'm still calling it hyperspace. And they go crazy, and they just and like I'm thinking like, oh my god, they're using image warping on the people. Ah! Yeah, yeah, that's what happens. And we get introduced to the character Mantis, who is able to read emotions to an extent, and this led to a hilarious moment where it was revealed that Star Lord is in love with Gamora. Yeah, that was kind of obvious in the first movie. Which I'm gonna be honest, I'm still surprised that movie did so well at the box office because Batista, when he was wrestling in WWE, wasn't really helping the press. Especially how he raised the middle finger at the audience at the Royal Rumble, turned heel and whatnot, but thank God that movie did a success. Probably because of the Marvel name, but still. So, it's revealed that Star-Lord is also a godlike celestial, a millennia-old who Ego explains is a millennia-old consciousness that manipulated the matter around it to form a planet with itself at the core. Ego eventually formed a human guise to travel the universe and interact with other species to escape his loneliness and discover a purpose. Eventually meeting and falling in love with Peter Quill's mother, Meredith. Ego hired Yondu to collect the young Quill after Meredith's death, but the boy was never delivered to, and Ego had been searching for his son ever since. He teaches Star-Lord to manipulate the celestial power, and Nebula, well, okay, she escapes when Yondu goes ahead and tries to capture the Guardians. It's revealed that he got exiled from the Greater Ravager group for child trafficking. Yeah, there's human trafficking in this movie. Well, not really human, more like galactic trafficking. Yeah, and we see, and when Nebula tries to escape, Taserface leads a mutiny against Yondu since he shows reluctance to turn over Star Lord, since he practically raised him as a son. Um, Nebula shoots Yondu's helmet thing off. I really don't know what that was, and yeah. And Taserface, oh god, tips off to the Sovereign Fleet and tries to make the menacing statement of, remember the name, Taserface. And just like everyone else, the Sovereign laughed really, really hard to the point that it was so humiliating for him that he died humiliated. Yeah. Yeah. So so then he revealed so back with Ego, Star Lord, Gamora, and Drax, like Drax and Mantis are bonding, sort of, like yeah. And Ego reveals himself to has yes kill children when Nebula arrives to Ego's planet and tries to kill Gamora, but fails in their pair reach an uneasy alliance when they discover caverns filled with skeletal remains. Oh, and why Nebula hates her sister Gamora is because Thanos, and his disturbing mental craze insanity, had basically every time when Nebula lost to Gamora, he would remove an internal organ or a limb or an eye or a head or a brain and replace it with cybernetics. Okay, if this wanted to go R-rated, they could might as well just shown the flashback. Like, seriously. Like, there's a lot of profanity in this movie to me. There's a lot of graphic deaths, though not bloody and whatnot, not exploding organs. More like they are so disturbing that that's actually what happened, like being killed in space, in the vacuum of space. And Mantis reveals to Drax that, yeah, Ego has lost his mind and is trying to terraform every planet he planted seedlings of himself to. But However, Ego reveals that he can only do this with the combined power of two Celestials. To that end, he impregnated countless women and hired Yondu to collect the children. And Ego killed them all when they failed to access the Celestial power. Ego forcibly uses Quill to activate the seedlings, which begin to consume every world. Right before that, he revealed that his love for Meredith was interfering with his grand plan and gave her cancer. Yeah, this sort of sounds like a certain two-part movie of two movie series that gives a liberal cancer because she's a liberal and therefore she must be treated as the devil incarnate. That's not good. Yeah. And afterwards, yeah, like there was some heavy emotion moments, like the whole relationship between Gamora and Quill, and well, all this other crazy chaotic stuff that goes on. Especially how Rocket Raccoon tries to be this tough guy, but really he's kind of scared when Yandu talks about this. And also, I was surprised Thanos at all did not show up in this movie. He didn't even show up in the post-credit scenes or the mid-credit scenes. And yeah, speaking of the various credit scenes, yeah, only one actually is enough to say that there's a sequel because Aisha creates a new artificial being with whom she plans to destroy the Guardians, naming him Adam, which is related to, I think his name is Adam Warlock. And apparently he was originally supposed to be in this movie, like in a major role, but then they scrapped that. And Stanley is ignored because a group of uninterested watchers walk away. Yeah. I'm also trying to wonder, is Stan Lee built up for something like this? Been rumors that Stan Lee might be a powerful a god character. Like, that would explain how he's in so many different places and doesn't act at all seem surprised at the fact, like, he starts off surprised and just gets used to it. This is not just, well, yeah, like, is Stan Lee's character secretly a god character that's watching the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy? Mostly the Avengers. Is this all part of an elaborate plan? Is he going to show up in Infinity War? Is he going to play an integral part in the Avengers sequel after Infinity War? We'll know it later on. And Yondu dies. Yeah, Yondu dies saving Quill when they tried to destroy, when they just tried to destroy Ego's brain at the planet's core while fighting off Sovereign's forces. And Rocket makes a bomb out of the stolen batteries that Groot plants on the Ego's brain, while Quill battles Ego with his newfound celestial powers to allow the other Guardians to escape. The bomb explodes, killing Ego and causing the planet to disintegrate, and Yondu selflessly sacrifices himself to save Quill, who comes to realize Yondu did not deliver him to Ego in order to spare him from the fate of Ego's other projects, let's just say that, and that Yondu was Quill's true daddy. Having reconciled with Gamora, Nebula still chooses to set out and attempt to kill Thanos, and the Guardians hold a funeral for Yondu, which is attended by dozens of Ravager ships, acknowledging Yondu's sacrifice and accepting him again as a Ravager. And that was a pretty awesome scene. Like, I was a little surprised that Yondu was dead. Like, but then I think to myself, yeah, with the Infinity Stones, they could probably bring him back. Like, you don't know the full thing until when Infinity War and the sequel to Avengers Infinity War comes out, because here's the problem. With the Infinity Stones, they're just basically MacGuffins that can just basically do whatever they could please. So, the fact that anything could happen with the Infinity Stones, the fact that in the original Infinity War comic, Thanos just snapped his fingers and almost everybody was wiped out. But you could make the argument, I never read the comic. Yeah, Yeah, I never read the comics, so I don't know what exactly happened, but you could also make the argument that it could fix everything at the end. So, yeah, I'm pretty certain that we haven't seen the last of Yondu. This is just my guess, though. But I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back to resurrected by Thanos in order to fight the Guardians, because the Guardians are confirmed to be in the Avengers sequel. So that's gonna be awesome, especially since this concept art of not Thanos, of Thor and Rocket Raccoon, battling side by side. So that's gonna be pretty awesome. And Thor, I can't wait for Thor Ragnarok. Then before that, I had to see Spider-Man: Homecoming, which I hope is good. After the disaster of the Amazing Spider-Man series that was supposed to happen. And okay, this is like also this when the destructive climax happened, I was thinking to myself, yeah, this sort of looks like what could been Superman Man of Steel had it been more lighthearted. Yeah. And okay, during the big battle, there's just one hilarious moment where Ego transforms into himself, but much larger, and Quill goes ahead and transforms into Pac-Man. And I'm like, oh dear God. Like, are you taking this seriously or just taking this somewhat seriously yet with a comedic edge to it? Yeah, and some people might say that's kind of a turnoff to the movie because there's so much humor in this movie. In fact, this might be the most humorous version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far, besides Tony Stark. And maybe Thor Ragnarok. And maybe Spider-Man Homecoming, but we'll know when those other movies come out. But yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy seem to be much more lighthearted. Like, does not since they're away from Earth and therefore they don't know the full story. They don't know what's going on down there. If they did, I'm pretty sure Quill would probably try to go ahead and see what's going on with what would have happened with Ultron. Yeah, but Yondu's death was a little surprising, and Quill's funeral for him, like, that was pretty good. And Nebula has been confirmed that she will appear in the Infinity War, so her quest to kill Thanos may be revealed yet. I'm pretty sure it's gonna fail. So, and also Groot, it grows back to growing back to normal size, exhibiting typical teenage behavior in the process. Everything I hate about my generation at times. Also because it's very stereotypical of teenagers nowadays. And Craiglin is revealed to have inherited Yondu's telekinetic arrow and control fins, and accidentally stabs Drax with it. Oh, and Ravager leader Stakar Ogord, inspired by Yondu's sacrifice, reunites with his ex-teammates. So I'm pretty sure they're going to show up again in Infinity War. Though they didn't really do much in this movie. They just were there to establish that you committed child trafficking to Yondu, and yeah. Yeah, this had the most post-credit scenes and 2 mid-credit scenes. So this was the most amount of credit scenes after the movie ever. Like, one sets up a sequel, and the rest are just filler. Though the informant, though the Watchers listen to their informant discuss several experiences on Earth, which could hit Stanley is part of this whole God ability thing. So we'll know about that. But I really want to see more. They already confirmed that a Guardians of the Galaxy sequel after Infinity War is going to happen. So, yeah. They're most likely going to live. But they did say that if they ever did make a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4, it would probably be with a whole new team. So, does that mean in the trilogy that in the final Guardians of the Galaxy 3, they're going to die? Or they're going to retire? Yeah. James Gunn is set to return it to write and direct it, and I can't wait for that. But like I had said in 2 videos, I believe, that how do you top Thanos? I don't know. Like, I could be wrong, but it just doesn't seem like they can top Thanos. Unless they had certain Marvel licenses that are now outsourced to other companies. Then maybe they could have a chance. However, Kevin Feige said that an X-Men Avengers crossover could never happen for some reason. So, yeah. Oh, and Kurt Russell, during the opening flashback set in the 1980s, Russell was actually de-aged with makeup on set and then touched up with some CGI. Yeah. And Aaron Swartz also served as facial reference for the young ego, which, okay, kind of shows how technology has improved upon in our advancement towards dominance to the point now we can make people look younger in movies. Yeah. The visuals were pretty great. The comedy was just up to 11 this time. Yet I'm still questioning why the dark moments were pretty disturbing in a PG-13 movie. This is probably the weird, like, you hear words of people trafficking, child trafficking to be specific. You see people get ejected into the vacuum of space and die. You see, oh, and Mantis gets hit by debris and gets knocked unconscious when she tries to keep Ego asleep. Yeah, and it seems when they try to do a serious moment, it just gets negated by attempted humor. Like they're afraid that if they go ahead and be too serious, then the audience are not going to be invested into the characters unless they do something humorous or something like that. Even though that's not really the case, like they're Saving Private Ryan and we got invested in those characters. Yeah. So to see skeletal remains, people most likely dying, though we just never saw it. Like Captain America: Winter Soldier, we never see the guy get thrown into the jet, and his bloods go out and whatnot. We just see an explosion, but we could tell, yeah, he was shredded to death, and that's just left up to fans' disturbing but yet fascinatingly entertaining imagination. And like I said, visuals were great, the acting was great and whatnot. I really liked it, but I don't really know what they're gonna do next for Volume 3. But I know for a fact that they're gonna be in Infinity War, so that's gonna be awesome. But I'm wondering how they're gonna converge the Avengers. Well, sort of the Avengers. Like you got two factions broke up from Civil War, so it's going to be Avengers and Avengers teaming up again, and then teaming up with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and teaming up with various other alien factions that are going to lead the assault on Thanos, and probably the Defenders if they show up. I hope they do. By the way, I'm watching Iron Fist now. I was nervous at first to watch it, but then I decided to say, F it, watch it anyways. And I'll get to that when I get to that in a thoughts video. And I saw the Defenders trailer, which was awesome. Yeah. And Spider-Man Homecoming, that looks like it's going to be good. Just hope it really is. Thor Ragnarok was a funny trailer, had a funny trailer. Though the fact that they already spoil concept art that shows Thor with the hammer means that he'll get the hammer back even though it got destroyed in the trailer. So yeah, they really need to keep things tightly lit. I mean, keep the lid very tight and closed on that because yeah, like I said, the tension isn't there on on a bunch of characters because you know they're gonna live at the end of it. So wait till you get to Infinity War. So yeah, you could just read all this up on Wiki, though it's much better to watch it, the movie, but you wouldn't feel that tension because, oh, they've been contractually obligated to come back for Infinity War, so we're gonna have to wait for that. Oh, they're coming back for Phase 4? Okay, then we'll have to not care about that. So, yeah, they should really keep a tight lid on their future projects. They should have just kept it quiet, said everything leading up to is leading up to Infinity War, and then keep secret whether or not there are going to be more movies afterwards. Even though I kept saying that they really should stop after Infinity War because you don't know how to top Thanos. But, yeah. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to for more.